everybody. I'm David Cruz. We are on the road this week in Newark at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center for the inauguration of the 57th governor of New Jersey, Mikie Sherrill. We're going to have interviews, reaction, and we'll hear some of what the governor had to say. Stay tuned.
Hi, we're taking a break in the show to ask you to please hit that like and subscribe button and share this content. It's really important for an independent effort like ours to build an audience. Thanks for streaming. Let's get back to the program.
It was the coldest day of the winter so far. Downtown Newark traffic, always fun to navigate, especially challenging this week. The area around NJ Pack, a frozen zone, literally. But inside the hall, warm patriotic music. And the warmth of a full house for what turned out to be a fiery inaugural address from the new governor.
In the greater Camden metropolitan region, in a place called Philadelphia, Thomas Jefferson wrote a Declaration of our Independence, marking the birth of this great nation. This entirely unique and revolutionary declaration claimed human beings had universal rights to life, to liberty, to the pursuit of happiness, not because of who their parents were, but because every human being is endowed with these rights by their creator, not by a king. The earth has rarely seen an idea put to paper that has ignited such a fire in her people, a fire that has burned for 250 years. As enslaved people, women, oppressed people from around the world and from every walk of life read our founding documents and demanded their own path to those same universal rights. Our declaration denounces tyranny and listed those attacks on our rights committed by England's king. The list of grievances in our Declaration of Independence included these charges against the king. He has refused his assent to laws. He has obstructed the administration of justice. He has made judges dependent on his will alone. And yes, he has kept among us, in times of peace, standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. And this election proved that the people of New Jersey recognize the parallels. That we see a president illegally usurping power, unconstitutionally enacting a tariff regime to make billions for himself and his family while everyone else sees their costs go higher. Here, we demand people in public service actually serve the public instead of buying themselves planes and cars and extorting money. And on November 4th, the people of New Jersey once again gave the nation a glimmer of something it hadn't felt in months. Hope. Yes, these are some weary, weary years. But I will be damned if in this state at this time we cry any silent tears. We refuse to be silent, as so many doors are shut on too many of our friends and neighbors, too many children and seniors who don't have enough to eat. People who work too hard and still can't get ahead. Communities living in fear. Children who are afraid their parents will disappear in an ice raid while they are at school. As we see Washington trying to shut the door on opportunity, on your safety and security, on education, on healthcare, on access to good jobs, on innovation and investments in energy and infrastructure, as we are seeing doors shut for families, for working people, for vulnerable communities, as they attempt to roll back the tide of progress. Not here.
Do you feel the optimism of inaugurals?
I'm feeling the optimism of this inaugural, given where we are. It's like deja vu all over again. It's like when I came in during the first Murphy administration, we had an aggressive federal government, and we're in a similar, if not more difficult posture with the federal government. And so I'm really optimistic about Governor Sherrill and an Attorney General Davenport, and about them representing the interests of New Jersey in this moment.
Your immigrant protection directive, they tried to codify it. The governor pocket vetoed it. A defeat or in a roundabout way a victory?
Well, I mean, I think that's going to be front and center for this administration to consider. I think the Immigrant Trust Directive has withstood court challenge. It's withstood the test of time. It continues to govern law enforcement operations. Codifying it would be a great step to future-proof it, but I don't think that's necessary right now, and so hopefully this administration takes it up.
Do you agree or disagree that it faces more of a existential challenge if it becomes state law because of the courts?
I think it's already withstood court challenge, and I think, there's present litigation going on right now, which I'm involved in, where similar policies from a local level are being challenged, and the precedent is strong, and the precedent is on all fours with the Immigrant Trust Directive. So whether it's codified or whether it's in the form of the executive order that we had it in, I think it's future-proof.
Is there an environment, an economic environment coming this spring and this year that's going to be difficult for business, that's going to require some help from the front office?
Oh, sure. I mean, we need a U-turn on our economy, and I think the simple fact is the business community needs to feel that they're wanted. Somebody's got to pay attention to them. For 8 years, that has not happened. And that does not cost anything. It's got to happen. I know it will happen. It's just a matter of how quickly we do it. And I think, as I said before, if we start to do some very simple, no-cost things, which we promoted and talked about with the Lieutenant Governor, we can have a meaningful difference and start the ball rolling economically. Which, if we don't aggressively attack the economy of New Jersey, we have a problem. It has to happen.
She's got real challenges, as do you, budget-wise, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously both of us are stepping into budgets that have not been well run, where I think the prior chief executives have been more concerned with short-term gain and short-term politics than the long-term fiscal health of the communities that we serve. So I think both of us have to clean house.
Here is a $58 billion budget, largest in the history. Does it need to be pared down significantly?
110%. There's no way that's a sustainable
Pared down by 110%?
Well, I'll tell you, it's got to be pared down because it is not sustainable. There's no doubt that $58 billion is not sustainable for the state of New Jersey where we are today. We continue to have out-migration of wealth of this state, and if we don't have taxpayers here to pay the bill, we're going to have a problem.
So, are you optimistic?
I am cautiously optimistic, and today I'm going to be very optimistic. This is a reset.
Look, I'm taking Governor Sherrill at her word that she's going to fight back against the Trump administration and try to defend and expand constitutional rights for all New Jerseyans. Right now, we have a need to do as much as we can, especially for our immigrant communities. Immigrant communities are particularly vulnerable right now, and we need to make sure that we're pushing back against ICE, where we're protecting data, we're not collecting things unnecessarily, and that we're making sure that this state is a state for all who call it home, not just a select few. So it's our obligation to make sure that every single resident, whether they're documented, undocumented, a permanent resident, or a citizen, that they feel that New Jersey is a place where they can thrive.
I don't think that New Jersey is at the core of the Washington agenda. They're not thinking about what's good for New Jersey when they make their decisions down there. She's going to have to chart a new course and try to find a way to build bridges with people who sometimes don't seem like they want to build bridges to be successful in public policy.
Hi. we're taking a moment to ask you to like, subscribe, and share this content. See the button, press the button. It really helps us build the show. Thanks for streaming. Now, let's get back to the show.
Continuing our conversations with candidates in the 11th Congressional District primary, chosen by our social media followers, by the way. Tom Malinowski is a former member of Congress looking to return to the House in a new district. Tom Malinowski joins us now. Congressman, welcome to the show. Good to see you.
Great to see you.
So Democratic Party primaries are all the rage this year. 11 candidates in this race. To what do you attribute the popularity of running for Congress?
So many of my friends currently in Congress question my sanity. Why would you want to come back here?
Didn't you just escape this place?
But it's a good sign. It is a great sign that Democrats not only want to do something about this crazy situation our country is in, but they have hope. They believe that through the democratic process, we can still rescue democracy.
You served in a different district in Congress, the 7th, and now you're running in the 11th. What do you say to people when they ask you about that?
So, well, it's not that different because some of the towns I represented in the 7th district are now in the 11th district. New Jersey is funny that way. I worked in this district. I was teaching at Seton Hall University in South Orange last fall, and have very deep ties here, and of course live now in South Orange, New Jersey. So it makes a lot of sense, and this is the next fight, which is what drew me into the race. We're not waiting until November to send somebody to Congress next January. We're doing it now, in April, in the middle of this emergency for our country. And I think I've got something to offer with my experience in this moment.
So I asked the other candidates who I've talked to in this race, what's the bigger job for a member of Congress? Bringing home the bacon or fighting the good fight against, as you referred to, a federal administration hostile to democratic principles? Those two can sometimes be in conflict, no?
Oh, I don't think they're in conflict. I mean, there's no contradiction between bringing home money for the Gateway Tunnel, which I already did as a member of Congress, or funding a flood mitigation project in Morris or Essex County, which I did as a member of Congress, and fighting to defend our democracy and our values. And I think most voters are probably thinking more about that bigger challenge right now, because they understand that if we go down the path of authoritarianism, it's not going to matter quite as much if our potholes are filled.
Right.
But you certainly can and should focus on both as a member of Congress.
So I'm scrolling through my social media, as one does nowadays, and I see this attack ad against Tom Malinowski. He funded ICE. He voted with Trump, et cetera. And I'm like, ooh, which opponent came out swinging? Then I see it's an ad paid for by United Democracy Project. And then I discovered that entity is a PAC from the American Israeli Public Affairs Committee, AIPAC, which had once been a supporter of yours in the past. What's this all about?
So, David, you're an impartial journalist. You're not supposed to take sides, but I would hope that you would agree in your voice as a journalist that attacking me for supporting ICE in this moment when they are committing such atrocities against the Constitution, against the rule of law, against common decency is beyond the pale. So let's take the attack first. This was based on a vote that I took in 2019 to fund a surge of humanitarian support to the southern border at a time when there was a crisis. There were migrants pressing against the border. Every Democrat in New Jersey voted for that funding because it was the right thing to do. And for a dark money organization, whoever they may be, to take that and to accuse me or any Democrat of supporting ICE is absolutely despicable.
Where do you think that's coming from? Is it, I mean, it struck me as kind of weird too, because I
It's weird
remember,
on many scores, yeah.
yeah,
So why is APAC doing it is the other question. APAC being the kind of hardest line pro-Israel organization in the United States. And I'm pro-Israel. I mean, some of the headlines on this basically say APAC attacks pro-Israel Democrat, which is very weird.
yeah,
Their beef with me is twofold. Number one, even though I continue to strongly support Israel's right to defend itself as a Jewish and democratic state, I won't pledge to them that I will give the Netanyahu government a blank check, that no matter what they ask for, I will in advance commit that I will unconditionally, unreservedly support it. That defies common sense, and by the way, defies American law
yeah.
to make that kind of pledge. They also, by the way, told me, because I've had a dialogue with them for many years, they told me, Tom, you know, we know you're pro-Israel. That's just a small deviation from our hard line, but we worry that you'll be influential in Congress. And you know what? I agree with that. I will be influential in fighting against this kind of dark money infection
Yeah.
in our democracy, where these, and by the way, these are Republican billionaires funding this organization now for the most part, hiding behind the anonymity of these dark money ads to take down people who will not pledge 100% fealty to them.
Yeah. All right. So I mean, you were in Congress, and now you're trying to get back into Congress. As you said, some of your friends are like, "What's wrong with you?" But how has the country changed since you were last in the House, looking at Chapter 1 of Donald Trump?
Yeah, I mean, we're in a more dire version of the situation that we faced when I was first elected, alongside Mikie Sherrill and Andy Kim and all those Democrats who got in the 2018 blue wave. We've got a President Trump who seems almost mentally unhinged to me, but also unchecked by anybody within his own administration. There were lots of Republicans the last time around who were willing to be a check on him. That's gone. And so that's a very dangerous situation for our country. It also means, you know, we're distracted every day by stupid stuff about buying Greenland, and we're not focused on the real problems of the cost of housing, the cost of healthcare, the need to regulate artificial intelligence to protect people over machines, the need to invest in clean energy so that America has an affordable energy future. Those are the things Congress should be doing and the president should be doing. And I'm going to Congress to try to do those things.
Yeah, this is kind of a reference to a state story, but it obviously has implications more broadly. We just saw Governor Murphy veto 2 immigration bills and 2 out of 3. The new governor, Mikie Sherrill, is not too keen to support the Immigrant Protection Directive. Do you support the concept of a directive to police to not participate with ICE?
Yes, and I think Governor Sherrill supports the directive too. I think the questions are more about the legislation.
Right.
But
codifying it might make it more vulnerable to a legal challenge.
I think that's the argument that former Governor Murphy made. But let's just start with the principle. Law enforcement officers in my community, I want them focused 100% on protecting me and my family against violent crime, against property crime, against what actually threatens us. I do not want them wasting their time running around chasing law-abiding people who may have overstayed a visa. I do not want them joining in these violations of due process and of the Constitution. And I don't want them losing the trust that they currently enjoy from minority and immigrant populations in our state, because once that trust is lost, their ability to protect us against crime diminishes. So for me, this is a matter of law enforcement. And personally, I would prefer to enshrine it into law, not just have a directive. And personally, I'd be willing to risk a court case, because I think the worst thing you can do with Donald Trump is to kind of surrender in advance. We have to have a fight. Let's have a fight. Maybe we win it, maybe we lose it, but we have to stand strong for these principles.
Forgive me for asking a question as I run out of time, but and if you could keep the answer brief as possible, what do you think the prospect is for Congress to do something on immigration reform? Because a cynic might say it's been too good as a fundraising issue for both sides, and that solving it might be bad for business.
Well, solving it would be literally good for business, because the business of America.
I meant the business of fundraising.
Yeah, I know. But I was just twisting your question a little bit. Like, legal immigration is essential for our economy, in addition to being the right thing to do and a core part of who we are as Americans. And
can it be done in this climate, though?
I'm not sure if it can be done. Comprehensive immigration reform in this Congress, maybe not. But I think there's nothing like losing a midterm election to discipline a party to move a little bit on an issue like this. And so, look, I'm not going there to give up hope. I don't think the American people are giving up hope. I think there's a lot we can do. Some of it is easier, some of it is harder, but we have to try.
Yeah. All right, Tom Malinowski, appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, and good luck out there.
Thank you so much.
This is Hold That Thought. I'm David Cruz. Back with Tahesha Way after a quick break.
Hi, we're taking a break in the show to ask you to please hit that like and subscribe button and share this content. It's really important for an independent effort like ours to build an audience. Thanks for streaming. Let's get back to the program.
We're back talking with candidates in the 11th Congressional District Democratic primary. I just recently learned that our next guest is a former television producer, among other things. Until Tuesday, she was the Lieutenant Governor and Secretary of State for New Jersey. We say hello to Tahesha Way. Governor, welcome.
Thank you, David, for having me.
So you were a TV producer, but also a professor of literature. In fact, an undergrad degree in English and American literature from Brown, not the background that you would necessarily expect to lead someone into politics, no?
Well, you know something, I think otherwise. I have to respectfully disagree, because as an English major, you, of course, do a lot of analysis, right, of issues that you read, because I've always been told that good reading of a novel is a comment on a human condition in hopes of making lives better. And it did fuel me to go to law school, if you will. So I do believe that English majors make exemplary public servants.
Which may be so, and in your case is obvious, except that if you checked like all the Congress people or freeholders, commissioners, etc., you wouldn't find a lot of them who are professors of literature. That's all I'm saying. It's more like, politics doesn't always lend itself to intellect necessarily.
Well, you have to think about it as a college professor. And this is what I've been speaking to voters as I've been going up and down CD11. They value the experience that I have. You mentioned the freeholder or county commissioner experience. You take that with being a state judge, a college educator who is keen to the educational priorities of this day. And we know that education has been crippled through Trump and his administration. So you would want someone to have that laser focus. And at the same time, my statewide experience that I know we're going to get into.
And then you got appointed to the then freeholder board. Was that like a turning point? Is that what clicked in you that said, maybe public service is what I do want to do?
Well, something, David, I think even before I became a county commissioner, I was one who during court recess would sit with other attorneys and just discuss issues of the day that were affecting me, my family, those who I knew, neighbors wise. And, I was thankful when I became a county commissioner. I focused on not only ensuring that the services of Passaic County's residents were met, I was keen on fiscal responsibility. So, I look at the entirety, not only of my career in government, but also just my lived experience, right? I grew up in the Bronx, New York.
Bronx.
To union parents, they had such pride in wearing their blue uniforms. But, through them, I witnessed just the idea of people in the public sector understanding that they're the caretakers of those who come, across them. And then now it's open, me having had the brain hemorrhage when I was 19 years old. When you're at a point where you almost lose your life and you almost lose your vision, you then self-reflect too. And that's what led me ultimately to being or becoming the law student. And at the same time, my parents' insurance paid for all of my surgeries to correct the hemorrhage and hospital stay. But when it came to occupational therapy, we were denied.
Wow.
So a 19-year-old going back to college had to retrain herself how to read.
Wow, that's a story that I did not know, I must say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now you pick the Democratic Party primary where there's 11 candidates in the race. What was that process like in your mind? Let me jump into this race with 11 other candidates who, by the way, it's not like there's lightweights in there. There's a lieutenant governor in there. There's a former congressman, all that.
Yeah, well, something, one cannot sit on a bench and see what's happening with the assault, right, on our healthcare. And again, I speak about my lived experience. I don't know if other candidates can say the same, right? I look at how our democracy is under attack. And what have I done, right, for those past 8 years? I have been the guardian of our democracy, being sued so many times, by Trump, and I stood up, right? And I ensured that New Jerseyans would fairly, freely, and have access to the ballot box. And even, prior to my leaving, standing up to Trump and his administration and wanting to get voter personal identifying information.
Yeah.
So I want to continue that fight because democracy I hold true and near and dear to my heart. And, I also, just think about what is occurring with our immigrant community, right? How we all, including me, and I've had the experience as acting governor signing, right, an immigration law to protect those who are employees from their employers disclosing immigrant status. And these are the sort of fight that I would bring to bear in DC. And I look at the field, and I'm actually happy to see that there are others who are running in the race because there's deep worry, concern, angst as to what Trump and his allies are doing to New Jersey's families. We're talking about crushing us with the tariffs, rising costs, and again, attacks on their basic rights. But I think that the electorate is understanding that there's one clear candidate in this race, right, with the experience of serving New Jersey families, has the proven receipts, as I call them, and results as that college educator, as that local official, as that state judge, and who has the statewide experience, who can take on Donald Trump being seasoned in day one.
You have shown yourself, at least publicly, to be a kind of low-key person. And I'm always going to think of you now as a college professor. So that's stuck in my head. I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
But this is a president who is everything but low-key, right? Getting in his face now is part of the job for any Democrat who wants to be a member of Congress, evidently. Can you scrap?
I sure can. Remember, I'm from the Bronx, New York. You know, and I think that everyone has to understand, you know, I'm Tahesha, and I have again fought, unlike other candidates, right? I have fought Donald Trump and I have won successfully. And that is what I will bring to bear all around.
You are a mom. What goes through your mind as a parent when you think about your daughters being out there in a country where it looks a lot like their race, their gender, their reproductive autonomy are all under attack? Are these conversations that go on in the way family kitchen table?
100%. I'm a mom of four daughters, right? And you said it. There's always the question mark for them whether or not their reproductive rights are going to be protected. And they will have conversations with me about this. They have conversations about the economy. Look, you know, several of my daughters, they just graduated from college, and they understand that there needs to be those fighters who have worked on, right, economic policies. You know, I look at also, you know, their basic discussion, David, and this is oftentimes overlooked, the mental health of our kids, right? And that is why I was so proud, you know, to expand mental health services for our public university and college students. And it's beautiful when you know that now our college students can, you know, access the free telehealth services that they very much need.
Yeah. You mentioned it a little bit before, immigration.
Yes.
We just saw Governor Murphy veto these two immigration bills. The new governor is not too keen to support the immigrant trust directive. Do you support the idea of a directive like that prohibits local police from participating with ICE?
Well, you know what? I mentioned, you know, my signing my pro-immigration law. And I have to disagree with the governor not signing those laws, because look at how parents are feeling unsafe, right, to just drop off their kids. This is what you're hearing on the street. What you're also hearing on the street are those who are victims of domestic violence, right, are afraid to even go to court and seek protection. Just last night, I had, you know, a meet and greet, right? And again, this topic is top of mind because we now have an entity of our United States government, a law enforcement entity, which is making us feel less safe and is terrorizing our own neighborhoods and communities. Similarly, how we have a Department of Justice, David, that is being weaponized. I know I no longer practice law, but I still follow the rule of law. And I understand how, you know, how sincere we should be in terms of that, how we should be following it. This is who Tahesha Way is about. And that's the fight that I will bring down to Trump and his administration.
All right, Tahesha Way, I'm glad we finally got a chance to talk. Good luck out there.
Well, thank you so much for having me, David.
And that's Hold That Thought for this week. Thanks to all of our guests, and thanks to all of you for streaming, liking, and say it with me, subscribing. I'm David Cruz. We'll see you next week.